Hello, one and all. This is Timothy Dolan, and I'm currently writing a book on the biotech revolution, basically a primer looking at various aspects of what is, in fact, a massive and true revolution. I believe to be the next wave after the digital, compounding the effects of the digital revolution and ultimately commanding our evolution and the evolution of other life forms on Earth and the shape of life on Earth henceforth. So, as I mentioned, the book on the biotech revolution begins with a first chapter. Well, technically it begins with a preface, but the first chapter is entitled The Biotech Revolution, Waiting for Godot. Now, what do I mean by that? It's simply an observation that thus far, and over the course of at least a generation, I would argue somewhat more than that, much of that revolution has gone on unnoted, or at least its impacts and magnitude, I think, are underwhelming. And I would say that in relation to the digital revolution, we might point to the fact that thus far, the biotech revolution has not had what I would call the iPhone moment, the point at which there is a common denominator device or change in our biologies that are equal in magnitude to that of an iPhone and smartphones generally. So even though we haven't had that singular iconic representation, that doesn't mean that the biotech revolution hasn't proceeded and built over the course of, as I said, at least a generation. Now, I go into some details within the first chapter, but I'm going to lead with something that is, again, I believe needs to be highlighted, and it's a commentary on the fact that, as we all know, we have a globalized society, and one in which our gene pools have gone up, extended, I should say, literally all over the world. I mean, it was only about 3, 4, 5 generations ago that one never married beyond walking distance from where one lived, unless you joined a marauding army and went out and sought, shall we say, romance outside your own area. But those, episodes are noted. However, the gene pool, as we should say, has only expanded greatly for our species recently. Now, piggybacking upon that, though, is the fact that other species have also proliferated. And that gets into the problem, and it is a problem, of what is known as invasive species. So this next short slide deals with exactly that. That is the threat, or what should we say, the management issue, shall we put it more kindly, of what to do with invasive species. Now, the preferred response is to eliminate that or prevent it entirely, but that is proven to be unrealistic because of the nature of, as I said, the globalized society. There are any number of examples of invasive species all over the world now that have upset ecological systems in a rather profound way. So one of the ways that we can measure the risk and respond to that risk in a pragmatic way is along the lines here. That is, and this is within an area known as invasion science, that one needs to manage these species to minimize their harm, where possible, eliminate them, but in every other way, ensure that the ecosystems that they insinuate themselves into are not so profoundly disturbed as to lead to indigenous extinction. So that's what this first section is about. I'm going to cut this a bit short because I do want to kind of keep this in digestible segments. I will be addressing this much more fully, but it is just one area I believe that we need to pay attention to, and as I said, manage. The whole course of evolution as we know it is in fact now up for the management by our species, given that we are already, in many cases, unconsciously selecting which species thrive and which don't. So that's a jumping off point for an ongoing series that I'll be narrating, again, based upon a book that I'll be putting out, I hope, sooner than later. I'm about 2/3 done with it. And this is but the first chapter and a rather small segment of that first chapter. But it gives you a taste as to some of the issues that we're going to be addressing within this series. So stay tuned. I'll be looking forward to feedback as we move along. And I do hope that the series will raise awareness of the issue. So again, thank you, and we'll be addressing this much further along. Stay tuned. Thank you.